Katie Couric might actually display one of the worst interviews that I've ever seen, and of all people, the once punchline John Fetterman rebukes her. Let's get into it.
For me, it's that would never justify what's happened. And I just chose not to take the opportunity to argue his views after children lost his father in the most violent public way.
For those of you new to the channel, my name is Casey, and I started this channel to try to promote a future of faith, fatherhood, and freedom in America. And part of that is through my psychological training. Part of it is through my role as a therapist for the last decade and more. And if you can support that at all from a based conservative perspective, please like, share, and subscribe. Let's look at exactly what Katie Couric said and exactly the way that John Fetterman gets it right.
Did you have any issues now in hindsight over some of the things that Charlie Kirk said and some of the rhetoric he used during his life?
I didn't agree with much of it. I didn't closely follow his specific kinds of views, but I did.
I'm sure you learned about them after his death, though.
No, I haven't done a deep dive on it. You know, we've all seen that terrible video. Perhaps if you've seen the actual video, I have. And it's like appalling. And that's part of the political violence. And from what I'm saying, it's like that's unacceptable. And engaging in a debate and views I strongly disagree on, that's part of the American democracy.
Katie Couric begins by trying to get John Fetterman to dissociate himself from Charlie Kirk's views. And he says, well, I may not agree with it, but that isn't justification for what happened to him. And Katie Couric is a perfect exemplar of the wretched den mother media longhouse matriarch that is coming into this just wanting him, just refute Charlie Kirk, just pour mud on a man who was assassinated in front of his children. Just do it. What's wrong with you? Aren't you a good Democrat? Katie Couric represents the perfect longhouse matriarch, and it is past time for these longhouse den mothers to go away. And if YouTube and the internet has equalized the structures of media and the presentation of media and the dissemination of media, it is time, it is long due that these den mothers go away.
This has to be the most disgusting interview of all time. Can you believe what we're hearing?
In this clip, John Fetterman said that he would not posthumously argue against Charlie Kirk's views, and it would take a man who came out of a coma to suddenly recognize that his worldview as a Democrat did not necessitate him dancing on top of people who have already passed. It does not necessitate him wanting to do violence to the other side. This man was once the punchline of so many right-wingers because he did not appear fit for office. But as he's grown into sanity again, he has taken further and further to task the left-wingers who would say that violence is the solution to the modern Republican Party.
Should have been. Do you think that flags should have been flown at half staff? Do you think his body should have been flown on Air Force Two? Do you think he should have posthumously be given the Presidential Medal of Freedom? I think some people felt that was perhaps over the top in terms of mourning someone like Charlie Kirk. How did you feel about that?
I'd say that was his choice and his prerogative, and that was really entirely up to him.
Did you have any issues now in hindsight over some of the things that Charlie Kirk said and some of the rhetoric he used during his life?
I didn't agree with much of it.
In this portion, Katie Couric wants to take to task the way that Trump and Vance handled the funeral, the operations after Charlie Kirk's passing. Do you think he should have been flown on Air Force Two? Do you think this flag should have been at half staff? Absolutely. First of all, Katie Couric, it's none of your damn business how people mourn one of their own. And I understand that he wasn't one of your own, but that leaves no room for you to make judgments about how people mourn their lost leaders, and Charlie Kirk was the inevitable leader, and we can see so clearly that he held the coalition together because of the way that it's been so fractured since he passed. So, second of all, that would be like me saying, well, like, do you think that Biden should have checked his watch during the Veterans Day ceremonies or when the bodies were coming back, that he had a role in getting people killed in Afghanistan? No, I don't think that. No, absolutely I don't. But that's not him trying to honor somebody who's passed. That's him being dishonorable, being disengaged. So, yeah, I had a problem with that, but it wasn't procedural. It wasn't something that I have any room to say anything about. If Joe Biden wants to throw a whole parade for, anybody that had passed, that's his business. He's the president. John Fetterman takes the high road yet again and says that's Trump's prerogative to make a choice about how he handles the operations of Charlie Kirk's funeral, honoring him in his passing.
Some people might say Charlie Kirk's rhetoric was extreme. I think that's the conversation that happened. People condemned political violence, but they also felt a great deal of discomfort with his language, suggesting that these kinds of words lead to violence. I don't know. I'm just kind of sharing my observations as I saw the conversations unfold.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think we agree that we probably didn't agree with much of what he said. And I think I'm sure we both agree that you shouldn't shoot people, and you shouldn't execute them in public. And I think that's two things must be true. That free speech, I'm an absolute free speech guy, and you have the right to say these things, and you definitely also have the right not to get shot by sharing your views.
You think
Katie Couric is such a coward in this clip because she's like, some people say that his rhetoric may lead to violence. Well, first of all, Katie, all Republicans basically held the same line that Charlie Kirk held from his generation and younger. They're much more extreme than that. So if you want to say that rhetoric leads to violence, that your words dictate whether you should be assassinated in public, you are out of your mind. But of course, she can transpose that onto some people because she doesn't even take credit for saying that she believes that rhetoric leads to violence. And although that was something that was said on CNN by that one stooge who ended up getting fired for that, Charlie Kirk's views were normie Republican views, and they happened to be normal Republican and Democrat views from 30 years ago. That men are men and women are women, marriage is good, having a job is honorable, doing hard work is good for society, not giving anyone the upper hand is good for society. That kind of rhetoric should not lead to someone being assassinated because, frankly, that's what everyone believed 5 minutes ago, Katie. And this is a disgusting example of how the media she doesn't even stand by it, but she wants to know that everybody else says this. So she won't even claim it as her own belief, but obviously that's what she believes. Otherwise, she wouldn't have brought it up. This is the way that the media obfuscates. What they actually want you to know is that some people believe that this rhetoric leads to violence, and rhetoric leads to violence. Frankly, anyone could say anything to me, and if you needed an example, you can go into the comment section and I get shade from everywhere. I'm not even a big account. So that is not a justification for violence at any level. And Charlie Kirk was reaching more young men and more young people than anyone on our side. That's why he was assassinated. It had nothing to do with his rhetoric, which was quite frankly, middle of the road Republican rhetoric and just normie rhetoric from 1995. If you have not canceled the den mothers like Katie Couric from your household, and if you have not been able to psychologically expose what they're trying to implicitly sell you, now is the time. Cast them aside. The Longhouse is being razed to the ground. It's time to go in a new direction, away from these den mothers like Katie Couric, and onto a future of faith, fatherhood, freedom, and family in America. If you can get behind that at all, please like, share, and subscribe. I'd love to earn your support. I'll talk to you soon.